Welcome to Pull the Pin Ready War Room Edition. I'm your host, Jim. With me, as usual, is Mike, and our special guest today is Phillip.
Hi.
Oh, we love it. We love it.
I didn't. Somebody needs to hold up some cue cards or something.
He does it to everybody.
Yeah,
it's his job to go after I introduce. He does it to everybody.
I love it. Love it. All right. Y'all ready to pull the pin?
That was a quick one.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Okay, Phillip, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Phillip. I am an Army veteran, 13 years. I've been stationed in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I've been stationed in Babenhausen, Germany. Been stationed in Montabaur, Germany. I've been field artillery the entire time as a 13 Mike. Unfortunately, after the 13 years, had an injury I couldn't recover from, so I ended up with a medical discharge. So that's all I'm going to share today. But if you have any questions,
is your injury related to anybody in this room here?
No.
I can imagine that's something I couldn't cover from.
But that's a very good question because it's a good possibility. Yeah, but not this particular injury. No. My mental status could be attributed to him. So
I was about to say, so no mental injuries. Got it. Okay. So, all right, go ahead, Jim. Sorry about that.
I was going to ask you what made you pick artillery.
Oh man, that's an interesting story. So, I did not necessarily pick artillery. My intent was to go into computer programming. So I'm just walking down the street and with a friend of mine, and we see the Uncle Sam, we want you sign, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go check out what they're talking about, And so he's like, okay. So I go upstairs and talking to the recruiter, and he's like, oh, what do you want to do? I said, I want to get into computer programming. He's like, cool. Well, we'll get you on this computer over here and have you take a test. So I took the test, and he's like, oh, that's awesome. You could go into programming. I'm like, okay, great, whatever, And he's like, oh, well, we can get you out of here in about 6 months. I'm like, 6 months? Yeah, what you got to leave it tomorrow, right? I got to get out of here, And I'm in Brooklyn, New York at the time, just troubled youth, And I just said, what do you have to leave it tomorrow? And he's like, well, I can't get you out of here that quick. And he looked some stuff up and said, I could get you out of here in 2 weeks. Field artillery. They got computers there.
You ain't never gonna see it, but yeah, they got them.
You're gonna be a 13 November. It's a nuclear missiles. They got computers inside the tanks. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be a computer programmer inside the tank. So that's how I got into field artillery.
Well, that's fascinating because usually most guys get sold by those little movies they show you on how cool your job's gonna be in the military. Yeah, you got
all
that.
I wanted was computers, and he sold me on the computer inside the tank. That's what he got me on.
Yeah, they showed me the video of they asked me what I wanted to do when I went in, and I told them military police, and okay, hey, but let us show you. And they tried to get me to go, it was 11 Bravo back then, the grunts, and I was like, nah, I want military police. And then they showed me another video. I think it was field artillery at the time. Showing me all this stuff blowing up. Oh man, you get to do this. And I was like, nah, I want military police. And then they said, okay. And that was it. Military police or bus.
Did they ask you those questions at the end? I remember they asked me some questions. Like one of those questions is like, if somebody had to push the button or something, would you push the button for a nuclear? It was something crazy like that.
Yeah. Would you would you have an issue or something like that? And I was like, no, push the button.
I hesitated. And they almost kicked me out of there.
Oh yeah.
I was like, you don't know, I'll do it.
Yeah, I don't recall that question, but
Well, no, because you were just like a little cannon puncher. So Yeah, that's a responsibility for us guys, like us military police guys, you know?
Yeah, we at higher level. Higher level. Can you imagine what all the doctors and like the people who really dealt with nuclear stuff, what they're saying about us? Yeah,
Oh no,
you at
no,
a
they're
higher
the
level.
ones. They're the ones running for the bunker, while we're the
Yeah.
idiots pushing the buttons.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys need to push these buttons. We'll be right back.
All right, Phillip, what else you want to talk about today? The floor is yours.
Well, I actually got a question from a niece of mine who's in college, and she was asking, she had to write a paper about why sexual assault exists in the military, even with all the training and education provided to the soldiers and Marines. And I just thought that was an interesting topic.
Does she wasn't in the military, right?
She is currently in the military.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
So she got the training too? Did she get better at it after the training, or
get better at sexual?
I mean, isn't that what military training's about? Don't they train us to get better at things?
Well, I guess in this instance, the training would be how to prevent sexual harassment
that training.
and
My bad.
sexual assault. Yeah.
Well, can I just well, go ahead.
I don't really, I don't like the question at all. I don't even like the question of like why this exists in the military, because the question in itself is an issue for me, because it implies that it shouldn't exist in the military because military personnel are like morally superior to civilians. I mean, I don't understand like why wouldn't they think this is going to exist in the military? And just being a veteran, I know that there is no moral superiority in the military. You may be able to resist certain temptations while you're in the military, but I think most of that comes through fear of punishment. But when you get people in a position where they think they can get away with something, then their true self is going to come out. So just saying why it exists, that it's just not a valid question to me. It exists because it exists everywhere else. So there's no reason it wouldn't exist in the military. And to get back on the point of the training, is like, they're not training people to not sexually assault someone. You don't get that kind of training. Let us explain to you how not to do this. I mean, that's not, you can train on what's considered sexual harassment, because I've given that class before, and I like to call it a class as opposed to training. It's a class. This is what's considered sexual harassment.
Well, wouldn't that answer that, counter that other point you made where you don't train how not to do it? Because you do have some idiots out there, let's say, right? They just don't know. Whistling at women, that's considered sexual harassment. Some people might not know, but once they receive the training, they might.
Hold on, Mike. I'm gonna bust the bubble on this right now. I'm gonna explain the real truth of this.
Oh God, you going back to the bathroom?
No.
Okay.
Sexual harassment only applies to ugly people. Otherwise, it's flirting. And I know you can't deny it. Neither one of you can deny that, because you've seen it happen where it works because two people are attracted to each other. But when it doesn't work, it's because somebody's ugly.
I'm going to tell you this. I actually had a woman tell me that sexual harassment, it is relative, to how the person being harassed feels about the harasser. Even if they don't have to have a personal relationship, they don't have to have a sexual relationship. I mean, it could be like, and I'm just going to use men towards women because that's where it happens the most. Some men really just come off as creeps, you know, and I've seen it happen in the workplace where, you know, a guy would make a comment, and I mean the woman is just taken aback, like, you know, where does he even feel like he has a right to say that to me, you know, and it's a legitimate feeling. I mean, you can't take away, you know, regardless of the reason that they feel harassed, it's still legitimate, you know.
But Phillip, I want to know, because I mean, in artillery, you went through training, right? Let's say you have a target out there. Don't you have to walk those rounds in to your target?
Well,
let's say you're off target.
I was Lance missiles and then MLRS.
Oh, so yours were pinpointed right on target. But
right.
At some
so
point,
yeah, I'm a good 20 kilometers away. So yeah.
But at some point, someone who created that had to figure out how to pinpoint that target. And that's what we teach our soldiers, right? So if the sexual harassment doesn't work on the first girl, you keep trying until you hit your target, right?
I mean, but
somebody's going to say yes.
I mean, have you ever like really looked at the type of training? I mean, the training is given on like an 8th grade level. You know, this is not some advanced. The military is not giving some advanced class on sexual harassment. I didn't hear what you said.
That's good. That's good. Keep it going. Keep it going.
You're on to something, Phillip.
I saw the way both of you laughed, and I'm like, that was probably funny, but I didn't hear it. So. But my thing is, the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like 95% of the training really comes from your upbringing. I mean, it's like it's not even advanced training, you know. This should just be from your upbringing on how to respect another person.
So would you say that they're just,
and I'm just talking about harassment.
Yeah. I got you.
Okay.
So I don't know how to put this. Should it be, or can you say that the this 95% you mentioned, is it just reinforcing your own morals, values, or whatever?
Your own? I would.
Yeah,
I don't think those are just standard, you know, morals for everyone. So
no. That's,
I mean, it may be reinforcing it if you already have those morals.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because it's like it's so standard. Let's say.
I think if you have those morals, you shouldn't need reinforcement. But go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. You shouldn't need the training. You shouldn't need the training. What you're saying. So everybody should be able to opt out. I'm good.
Pass the pre-test.
Yeah. Take a you should be able to clap out of it. Back in the day, you could do a clap test. You know.
Well, yeah. We did make, there's a huge distinction between sexual assault and sexual harassment. I mean, we can all know that sexual assault still could be misunderstood. It could be, you know, falsely accused, and it could be misunderstood because 2 consenting adults could turn into a sexual assault when she changes her mind. But in reality, that's kind of something people should really know better, you know, for the majority of that. Sexual harassment to me is really dependent on the scenario and the people. And that's why I kind of think it's bunk. I really am not a fan of the whole thing. Like, I understand, like, whistling may not be a thing you do to women, you know, but in some cultures, maybe that's normal. You know, in some communities, maybe that's how they communicate.
Yeah, but we're talking the military community.
Well, right. But based on what Philip's saying is people are bringing that into the military. They're bringing their culture. They're bringing whatever they've learned, whatever their comforts level. They're bringing that into the military.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. It's like you have so many different cultures, right? So many different type communities. So, but when you come into the military, they're going to give you their standard on what sexual harassment is, and that's how they try to prevent it. Hey, just in case you grew up in Brooklyn, where, you know, Phillip grew up, and you want to whistle at women, nah, you can't do that here. You know, that's where I was going with that.
And that's fair. I think that's fair. It's fair to teach, you know, people what the expectation is, but it also needs to be defined, and who's defining it.
Yeah, but going back to both of your points earlier, when you said because I've also seen it where somebody can do something and it's not considered uh, harassment, but then if someone else does it based on that physical attraction, you guys both alluded to it, right? And now, whoa, why is he doing that to me? Nah, now I got to report this. Well, damn, you just did it. You ain't say nothing last month when so and so did the exact same thing.
Right.
Like,
And
he,
you've
but
seen a
he
lot
cute.
of that.
He cute.
I've seen it.
You know.
I've seen it up front. I've seen it happen up front within a 5-minute span.
Yeah, it's like I've seen it. So that's why, like what you were saying, Jim, it's like I can see why people they don't even want to like believe in it or just say nah. I think
Well, I'd really I'd like Jim to explain what you mean by it's all bunk. I mean, what do you like? All like it's just not a thing. I don't know what you
Well,
mean by
it's not that it's not a thing. It's just it's so due to the perspective or the perception of the person receiving it that it's very hard to enforce anything like that. It's just like hate speech. To me, it's the same thing. Like right now, you're looking at me mean. That's hateful to me. You see, look, you see what I mean?
I
That
get that
looks
all day, but yeah, go ahead.
that is hateful to me. But should you be accountable for that? Come on. It's as long as you don't touch me or force me to do something that I don't want to do, I don't care how you look at me. I mean, if you say something mean to me, you're just a mean, nasty person. If you whistle at a girl, what an idiot. You know what I mean? It really shouldn't go as far as they're trying to take it, is what I'm saying.
Well, but I think that's why, like the standard in most organizations is the person or the alleged offender. The first thing, or the alleged victim, the first thing they ask them is, well, did you tell them to stop?
Right.
Because now if they continue to do it, now it's a problem.
Right.
I mean, unless it's physical, if it's just, speaking or looking at you weird, I don't know, but which that's just I get that all day, honestly. But why you look so mean? Like, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. But
DNA.
but that's why they asked them, did you tell them to stop? And once you tell them to stop and they continue, then it becomes an issue because now you're aware.
That's harassment. I mean, there's laws against that. There's laws about harassing people. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to add the word sexual and call it a thing because there's actual thing for that.
Right. Sometimes they call it stalking. And I think that's why the military, what they do is they want to create that standard. So they're trying to prevent they're trying to prevent the escalation. Because they don't always say stop or no, I don't like that. Hey, leave me alone. They don't always do that because sometimes, and I'm sure you have also. Well, both of you been in the military as a non-com, so you probably seen it where somebody said, "Hey, he did this or this happened to me." Well, did you tell him to stop? No, but last year, it all started last year when it was like, God, man, really? But they never said anything, so things started to escalate.
Right.
And I always saw that as a problem. That's what I always say, just speak up.
The recipients need to be educated too. I mean, they need to be educated as far as, obviously, just because you don't like something doesn't mean you could just go run and tell. You got to tell them to stop. I mean, they need to understand that too. And if you don't have if you're afraid to tell at a retribution or something, then you need to go find somebody you trust or find some way to get the message across. Or, I don't know. I mean, intimidation is possible. But then it'll lead to something
intimidation
more.
is definitely possible. So let's go back. Let's go back to the original question, why it exists. So
I think you answered that one.
No, I don't think I did. I don't think I did.
I thought because you needed to practice. I mean, stalking. What is stalking really? Stalking is personal surveillance for statistical purposes.
Yeah,
that's legit.
That's
so this one people might take a little personal or might take offense to. All right, so, but this is my belief based on my experiences in the military. Now, I think it is the attitude of the military and the men in the military is that they are superior to women, right? Now, me coming from field artillery, which was, I mean, if we had women in our unit, they were either personnel, a medic, or the cooks.
That's what we call queen for the day.
Queen for the cook?
All the women in those units were queen for the day because even the ugly ones get to pick.
So are we gonna have a disclaimer that
well, but no, let's be real. Like let's think about this. Think about this from a psychological level.
Oh, God.
Let's just say you are an insecure or ugly or whatever you want to call yourself woman. And I'm only using women because, like you said, it's more common for men to sexually harass. And you like the attention. I mean, I've talked to so many women that talk about, oh, go in the military and be with all those men. And, you know, like they talk like that. So what do you think you're promoting when you go in and you're with these people? You have to hold a standard as well. If you're going to expect the men to hold a standard, you need to as well. And you can't be flirtatious in front of people or men and expect them not to be flirtatious back. You can't walk in.
But I think for the purposes of this conversation, I want to say that the woman is totally innocent. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I mean, because we can scenario this to death. So I'm just gonna say the woman is totally innocent, and the man is the harasser, right? But it's because we are, it's ingrained in us that we are superior, not necessarily to women, but just superior. So even and from our understanding, you know, like things are changing now, but even with the PT scores, you know, back in the day, you know, the women had to do less, you know, and why, you know, but I'm not saying I disagree with it, but that right there would give you this feeling that, you know, I'm bigger, I'm better, I'm stronger than women. That's why they have to do less to be here than I do, you know, and you know, and it's all fine and dandy. And I'm telling you, I'm coming from a side where I listen to my soldiers or my colleagues. I don't even know how we used to call them, but I'm in the civilian world now. So everyone's a colleague, right? So, but you hear them speak, and the male chauvinism that comes out just so naturally, and you better not even think, you know, to challenge it, you know, because it's all about this camaraderie or this cohesiveness. And
I mean, you can go back 3 minutes on this show. Go back 3 minutes on this show and listen to Jim. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hey, but come on, you got to be fair. I mean, look at society. Like it's always been the men who have had to find the woman and then make the family. It's always been that way. It wasn't women going out and saying, hey, let me pick the man. So the men had to go out and find the women. And either they were given according to, you know, whatever tradition they went by, or the man had to go meet the women and prove themselves. So they had to make a move. How do you expect men, even in this day and age, how do you expect men to meet women? I'm afraid to talk to single women in the grocery store because I might sexually harass them. Like I can't even say hi. Oh, that was a smile. How are men supposed to do that?
I think that's a little exaggerated, but
wait, you're telling me my experience in the grocery store is exaggerated?
Well,
you weren't there.
I mean,
dude, I'm living this, Phillip. I'm living this. I'm a single man meeting beautiful women in the grocery store, and I can't even ask them about what type of mayonnaise to buy.
So has it happened to you that someone accused you of sexual harassment?
No, it hasn't happened because I don't do it. I don't do it though, but I don't take the chance. You're just assuming
it would happen, but it hasn't happened. You're just assuming it would happen.
Well, that and the fact if they say something, then I must be ugly, and I don't want to deal with that.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to go back because you said, you know, you were experiencing it, but then you said it hasn't actually happened to you. So I don't know.
Well, I'm experiencing the regret, or not regret, the fear of doing it because of the potential repercussion.
Yeah,
well, I'm not ugly. Well, if I'm not ugly, I'm funny. If I am funny, then you're not funny. One of us is good looking and one of us is funny. So that's why we have guests, Phillip. So
yeah, exactly. You got to balance it out. You got to balance it out.
I'm neither. So whatever.
All right. So the why is there sexual harassment still in the military after all the training is not a
But
fair
one, it's
question.
not actually training and it's not actually education, but you know, I mean, I don't even know what kind of training there could be, honestly. You know, it's like, I mean, if you look at, I mean, and I just want to get back to the culture of itself. I mean, anytime a crime, you know, that go and it goes national and it's committed by a member of the military. I mean, civilians, I mean, they are like totally shocked by this, like, oh my God, like a soldier did this, you know, as if it's not like if it's just not supposed to happen. I mean, it's not supposed to happen at all, but no way this is supposed to happen to a soldier, you know. And I never understood that, you know. It's almost like giving soldiers this celebrity status, because it's the same thing when you see something when a celebrity commits a crime and people are just so shocked as if they aren't just people, you know, like all of a sudden, you know, morals come with money or morals come with, you know, camouflage or whatever. You know, they don't all, you know, they don't just come with it, you know.
I think it goes back to that hero status.
Say what?
I think it goes back to that hero status, you know. Also,
right. I mean, that from the civilian side,
yeah,
you know.
And then, definitely. Like, I have the same conversation, and I always say, you ever heard of Leavenworth? You ever heard of Mannheim? you know, and it's like there's a reason they're all not psycho,
right? But part of it, but I also don't think
they know about it. Civilians, that is.
Well, that's where I'm going, but you know, I gotta be a little careful here. So I don't, I don't want to. I mean, I think that not everything is reported because the military still has a reputation.
Yeah,
you know. So I mean, it's no different than any other organization where if they can sweep something under the rug, they're gonna sweep it under the rug.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Well,
so the civilians don't see it all.
Right.
I'm going to take a bold stance against this hero status, and I don't think it's about the hero status. And the reason I say that is, even as law enforcement, whatever, once you're a person or a person of trust, you know, I don't look at celebrities like I do military, because celebrities are just that, they're celebrities. Military, you're trusting them to look out for your best interests. So I think people hold them to a higher standard, just as military police over an artillery. Like, we expect you guys to screw up because we're the ones arresting you all the time. But we're harder on our own people because we are in a position of trust where we can ruin your career. So we have to have a higher standard, whether we are human or not. I mean, you could take, you know, Phillip out of Brooklyn, but you can't take Brooklyn out of Phillip.
Right.
But when
I don't puts on his,
Phillip puts on his brassard and he's acting in the capacity of a law enforcement with the authority, and he goes out and performs his duties, he is supposed to be at a higher standard. He can't be harassing people because he's got an easy path to it.
Well, I disagree with the statement of like we can help ruin their career or whatever. All I did was respond to an incident. I never told people to go out there and commit crimes. I just want that on record.
Yes, but I'm saying if you were to sacrifice or bring your Brooklyn out, you could change the whole dynamics, and yet you would protect yourself, and who would take the fall? The guy on the other end of the authority.
And you can't take the Brooklyn out of me. I mean, I got into 3 fights in basic training.
Oh, shit.
So you could beat it out of you.
That was the Brooklyn coming out of me.
All right. Good to know. We could beat the Brooklyn out. So anybody you meet from Brooklyn, there's a way. There is.
I got lucky. I actually got lucky because one of my drill sergeants was from Brooklyn, and he pulled me in.
Was that your first beating?
No. Took his round brown off and said, "I'm just gonna talk to you man to man here, you know." And he's like, "Let me tell you something. Everything can't be fighting words, you know." It was like, you know, because I did have that attitude, like, you know, what you're talking to me, you know, and it's like, you know, everything was fighting words, you know.
Yeah.
And that really helped me understand, and it was amazing for me because once he told me he was from Brooklyn and he proved it, and I was like, wow, okay, I guess, you can be a normal person,
So let's look at that. Let's look at that perspective. Okay, let's do that because this is a great analogy right here. So you came in with a predetermined culture of fighting, and
Yes.
you went through basic training, and you said 3 fights you were in,
3 fights,
even with a good stern talking to from a drill sergeant, and it took you all that to break your cultural habit of treating everything as a fighting word. And you think you're going to take a guy from the street and make him sexually harassment aware by a briefing once a year? Hell no.
Yeah, well, that was my point. Is I don't
Right.
think it's really training. Yeah, it's not. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
This is who he is.
It's a check the block.
You need more role playing.
Believe it or not, sometimes that actually works because I actually did it. It was a little harder when I gave that training because, like I said, when I was doing it, we had 1 female in my unit, so I had to have males acting like females.
Oh God.
So
you started it. Okay.
Well, come on. Let's be real. Let's be real. What is the percentage of men that report being sexually harassed by a woman?
In the military?
Oh,
anywhere.
Well, but I'm just saying in the military, I think it would be less than it would be in the civilian sector.
Agree, which is even low in itself.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's still low. But
I mean, I could tell you, I was in a club one time, right? And I'm minding my own business because I don't dance, and once I stopped drinking, my dancing looked a lot worse to me. But I'm dancing up against the wall by myself, and there was a woman that approached me. All right, I'm not gonna tell you. Okay, she was a big girl. She was a big girl, big girl. And
okay, we got it. Okay,
she comes up in front of me and she started dancing, and she's like, "You want to dance?" I was like, "I am dancing." She goes, "You want to dance with me?" I said, "I am dancing." And I didn't report her. I didn't even get her kicked out. I was just like, "Okay, thanks." I mean, it scared me, but I still didn't report her. So
it scared you?
Really? Oh, it scared. I was afraid I couldn't breathe.
Okay. So
yeah.
You
I'm not a very big guy. I mean, I'm tall, but I'm not a very big guy. So when anybody's up against me like that, I'm like, whoa, slow down. So,
but you were afraid because of her size. You didn't really feel threatened like she was going to do something.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. No, okay. And even if she did, unless she punched me, then I would be like, whoa. Even then,
right. So, but I think that's the difference. That's the difference between when a woman reports it, she feels threatened. Not just he's too big for me, he might crush me up against the wall, but no, they actually feel threatened. But have you ever felt harassed to the point where you felt your job might be in jeopardy or?
Yeah, I mean, I think even Mike and I, when we were at Fort Hood, I'm sure he doesn't remember this, but I had two female soldiers working for me, and both of them I thought were so high speed, they were both my team leaders. So I had enough faith and confidence in them that I put them in charge of teams. And then when they went on the road, they wanted to ride together. And I said, no, you can't do that. I said, you are 2 experienced people. We need to separate you. And I had some other reasons which you might not agree with, but I personally believe you need to separate your assets. So if you have women on one thing, you need to separate them because sometimes you go to domestic and women don't want to talk to a man policeman. So it's better to have them separate. You can call it sexist or not, but with my experience, that was valid. Well, they went and complained on me, probably because I didn't let them work together, but I literally could have lost rank, lost a lot because those 2 went and complained on me. It was unfounded, of course, they obviously saw my side of it, but it was that alone that I never thought that would have been threatening, but they complained. And because they were women and because they had that lopsided effect, because most men don't complain when women, do anything like that, it was believable, but it really wasn't true.
So that was just more like a discrimination complaint, not a sexual.
Sure, but I mean, they could have turned it sexist. I wasn't sexual harassment.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I didn't find any of them, it wasn't, sexual in nature or anything like that. But, it was still sort of a discrimination or It just, the point I was getting at is the leverage that they had that I
Right.
didn't have.
Right. Well, you did have leverage.
The truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And you justified your actions. So
Sure.
that was
Right.
it.
But if
Yeah.
somebody above them, like maybe say it was a female sergeant major, command sergeant major, wanted to side with them, she could have determined my career and everything that happened to me right there in that moment. I would have had to fight it twice as hard.
Yeah.
So
I think,
basically, okay.
I think part of the reason that you have less complaints from men, and I think the culture's changing now, but I mean, the last thing I would want is for another man to look at me like I feel threatened by a woman. It's like, I mean, that's, it's like that's coming out. That's why I say the culture's changing now, but there's no way when I was in the military, I was gonna complain that this woman is making me feel unsafe. It's just not gonna happen. I don't care if she pulled a gun on me. I'm not, she is not making me feel unsafe.
He said they beat the Brooklyn out of him. No, they didn't.
Yeah, no,
I ain't gonna be no punk.
Right. It just wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
There's no way I wouldn't even consider it. Not even consider it.
Now, I will tell you this. I made a complaint on a female employee. This is right after the military.
He wasn't in Brooklyn, was he?
There
was no Brooklyn and Mike.
Nah, no Brooklyn. No Brooklyn. They beat it out of me. It's gone. But nah, it was we were at the gate doing security, and she had groped me. And I was like, yo, what the hell? And she just smiled. I was like, oh, hell no. I went and reported it. A lot of guys looked down on me for that, but I said no, because as soon as I didn't.
Well, did she grope you in the front or the back?
Front. Front.
So all the goodies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was swiped like that in a club once, like a credit card from behind. I don't know how, but yeah. But I didn't complain. I looked for a dance partner. I was like, whoa. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in your world, but you're a married guy now. I get it. Yeah. And that's an interesting point too, though.
Credit card.
Yeah, from the front to the back, But
okay.
But I imagine if you're married, that will change the perspective too.
No, not for me. No, because my whole thing was, what can she do with that? Because I did something she didn't, and I didn't say anything. So to me, that gave her power.
Right. Good point. And then she could always bring it up later.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good point. Most guys don't think like that, though.
No.
Yeah.
They would have tried to,
How late were you in your career when you did that? Like, was that?
No, that's why I said I wasn't in the military. I was working on a military base, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Doing security.
And she must have been ugly.
Was she in the military?
Yeah, we all. I think everyone there was prior military. Yeah,
but she wasn't.
No,
ask it, Phillip. No. Ask it, Phillip. Was she ugly? Just ask the question.
I'm not gonna ask that question because it shouldn't matter.
That's right.
Shouldn't matter, but it does.
Yeah, but I can understand.
I was about to say something. I can't.
I can understand why, but it doesn't surprise me that you said a lot of guys got on you about that. That just doesn't surprise me at all.
I would have been one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we know. No matter, Mr. Credit Card, but it doesn't matter.
I'd have been like this one time at band camp. Mike, I can't share these stories with you. I don't want you to report me.
Yeah. But I just had to do it, man. I was like just thinking so many moves ahead of what she can do with that, and not gonna happen.
Or she would tell her friends what she really didn't find.
But I mean,
needed half a hand.
She had small hands. It didn't matter.
I also believe that.
Look at Phillip just rolling with it.
Because I have to stop myself from making certain comments, man. It's like I told you, man, I can hear it coming. It's like, okay, I got to get off of that topic mentally,
The discipline's there, though. I gotta admit, the discipline. Oh, yeah. I don't have it.
I'm telling you, it reminds me of Nate, man. Nate would be.
I also believe that it's worse for new recruits that come into the military, because they, like the females, because they automatically come in with this false sense of security that these are soldiers, they got my back, they're always gonna have my back. So regardless of the environment we're in, whether we're in the room and we're drinking, and if I get too drunk, they got my back. And it's just a false sense of security, because they don't realize that these same soldiers were once, they're civilian. They were civilians as well, and whatever their character was then, it's still in there. I mean, they've gained a little discipline on how to control it, but under the right circumstances, and usually with the right amount of alcohol, they'll whatever discipline they had goes away, and now they just become who they were or who they are, without that discipline.
Let me ask you a question, because I've heard this thing called the rape culture in colleges. So how would you think that military would even have that kind of rap when colleges are known for this stuff?
Well, like I said in the beginning, I didn't like the original question because I don't expect it to be different in the military than it is anywhere else.
11 words.
I'm not saying it's worse because they're soldiers. I'm saying it's just like it is anywhere else. Despite the fact that they're soldiers.
Yeah.
I think it is different. I think it is a little different. I mean, in many factors, but you also have to understand the ratio of men to women in the military. It's where the term, like I said, queen for the day comes from. I mean, it comes from the point where men act really stupid when that woman shows up. It could be just one woman, even if it's a soldier, no matter, what it is, men start to act real stupid. So I think the ratio is so far off that these guys, they can't control themselves, but they have to, because they know that their job, their rank, everything depends on it. So I think they're probably stronger than we give credit for. I think sexual harassment would probably run rampant if it wasn't for the military environment.
I mean, the fact that you just said they don't because they're worried about their rank, and I mean that shouldn't even be the thought process. They should just want to be decent human beings.
And I agree, but look around you, Philip. Though, look around you. If college is producing rape culture, if the culture itself is all about that. I mean, look at it. Some of these foreign countries now, they've got these problems with women and immigrants coming over there. I mean, if this stuff is all around, why would the military be any different? They have to hold on to something. And you can just make all the assumptions you want about being disciplined. But just like you said, they're not coming in with these character defects just appearing. They've had them. So why would we expect any different? I mean, I do expect different because you are in the military, but.
And you hold them to a higher standard.
I would. I mean, I personally would, but I think the odds are against them. I think we're setting them up for failure. But that's why I think they're very lenient if, they give guys leave and they go out and do these things that, the bad things that guys do when they're out on, leave and whatnot. I think they're a little more lenient with that because they understand when they come back, they have to be something very difficult that defies what they probably were when they came in. Not
so
that
would
all
you
men
say that it's just that in the military you probably have more of a fear of being caught rather than like in the normal civilian life?
Yeah, well, I mean, not like Phillip here with his job. I mean, he's got to tiptoe around what he says or what he does. I mean, we all do that at work, right? Because we don't want to lose our job. But if you put Phillip back in Brooklyn and a girl walks by, who's he accountable to? Himself.
Oh, yeah.
So he doesn't really have the risk, or he doesn't have to be as careful because he can be himself. He's not accountable to anybody but himself.
Right.
So I think the fact that they're in the military, they are accountable. So they do have to be better than they are.
Hey, Phillip, you want to close us out?
I think everyone's accountable once they're caught in some sense of it, I mean, even in the colleges, that's why we know about the rape culture, because they've been caught, they've been, punished for it, and you have fraternities being shut down, and
yeah.
So I think everyone's accountable at some point once they're caught, you know,
Right.
or at least once. And I think most of the time females won't even report it unless they think, you know, the person will be held accountable.
Right.
You know, and I think it takes them a little while to build up that courage, and especially in the military, to come forward. You know, because depending on who it is, if it's a low level, you know, 2 privates, you know, they'll probably turn him in a heartbeat, you know. But but if it's a section chief or a platoon leader, you know, or commander, you know, I mean, I can. When I was in Montabaur, Germany, you know, we had like 65. It's a German. We were actually on a German base, and we just had a couple of buildings on there. And so we had a total of 65 soldiers at the most, and maybe 3 women. You know, one in personnel, 2 were cooks. And going back to what Jim said earlier, because of that ratio, you know, I remember when you got a bunch of 15 single guys, and we find out, oh, there's a new woman coming to the unit.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I want to be the first one, you know, and it's like you just have this deal, like, you know, because we just didn't have, and the fact that she's American, you know, so I'm stationed over in Germany, and you're like, you know, you're tired of that, you know, so you got an American female coming to the unit, you know, so yeah, she did get a lot of attention, and she ended up being with the one of the platoon leaders, a lieutenant, you know, and yeah, it ticked us all off, you know. I mean, ticked us off. Like, why is this lieutenant who is married, by the way, and he's with, you know, this private, you know, and man, the stories I could tell you about that, but he ended up getting kicked out, you know, because he just went way overboard, and I mean, trying to use other soldiers to help cover what he was doing, and if they didn't do what he wanted them to do, you know, like don't report that I came into the building tonight, you know. Like he would come into the barracks and go up to her room, and because he done told his wife he had 24-hour duty, and he'd go spend the night, you know, and you better not write down on the report that I was in the building, you know, and needless to say,
that's some hubris. Oh God,
he did that to one soldier that he just happened to piss off, and so yeah, that's when he got busted. He got busted, you know, because while he was up there sleeping, you know, the soldier made a call to the commander and the first sergeant, and they came up there and drug him out of her room. So, but I forgot where I was going with that because it was such an interesting story. But
well, do you realize that I think probably, I don't know about you, Mike, but I can tell you a couple stories like that. I mean, so I think it's more common than we even want to admit it is.
Yeah,
I'll admit it.
Even married.
But that's what I mean. Even, you know, it that's where I was going with it. I felt even some of the soldiers, and we were all like, you know, E2, E3 at the time, we felt like she was being forced. Like she couldn't even like hang out with us. She had to stay in her room, only came out her room to see him. And, you know, and it was like, wow, I can't, you know, we even couldn't believe it at the time. But we, you know, most of us wouldn't report it because, you know, we don't want to get in trouble. He's a lieutenant, you know,
and
so we're not going to say anything.
You don't think she has any accountability in this? You think she was just a victim of this?
I thought she absolutely 100% victim. Absolutely. That's why I said I think they, you know, they're even more vulnerable when they first come in. I mean, she's a private coming into a unit, you know, that's 95% men, and there's no protection for her. There's no one who is she gonna go talk to? I mean, she wouldn't. I can't even imagine she would feel safe talking to another man, especially when all these other men, us, knew it was happening and we weren't saying anything. You know, so I believe she was 100% victim. 100%.
I wouldn't give her 100%, but you're a generous man. It appears like. I wouldn't give her 100% because just like you came from Brooklyn, she didn't just walk out of her egg and said, "Hey, look, I'm in the military." No, she knew what men were. She knew what all this stuff was. She may not know what the military environment was. She may not understand the rank structure and the culture inside of the military, but she knows what men do.
I think because she knew rank structure,
Yeah,
is
that's what
why
I was
she
about to
was
say.
vulnerable.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. A private? Nah, dude. Yeah, she understood that. No telling what he said to her.
Yeah.
You know, when I saw sergeant, female sergeant, and she's messing with, you know, a lieutenant, first lieutenant, you know, whatever happens to her just happens. I mean, that's just, you know, you should know better because you had to be in for a while to make it up to sergeant. You know, but when I see it as a private coming in, nah, that's 100% victim. I mean, but I would even go as far as saying that even if she was male and that male lieutenant took advantage of her, I would call him a victim as well. It's not just because she's a female.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying
no.
because of her status.
I agree. You know, brand new privates are more vulnerable. And that's why I said I wouldn't give her 100%, but I definitely agree with you. She's definitely in the 90 some odd percent. But I have to think that at some point she could have easily stopped it at any time and, you know, done whatever. I mean, so there can't be 100% to me ever. Mike's the only thing that gets 100%, and he's usually 100% wrong.
And I agree with you 100% on that.
And that's a great segue to close this thing out
Close
here.
the door.
And after Mike gets his door closed, we can close this out.
The kids are getting ready.
It's got to be every show, every war room. We got to have something. So Phillip, as I explained, at the end of every show, we like to give our guests a chance to just give a little rant, you know, whatever you want to talk about, and you can take it away from there. But before you do that, we will tell you thanks for coming in case Mike tries to cut this off or jump in the middle of it. So, guard, you got 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
I did it one time. I did it one time.
Have you guys heard of this before we go there? That they're about to have 6 events for the PT test.
Yeah.
I heard there was a big change, but I didn't know what they were.
Yep.
And it's not going to be based male, female. It's going to be based on your job. So like,
whoa,
yeah.
Wait. I thought your job was a soldier first.
Yeah.
That's why we all go to basic training.
Don't fight me. I'm just a messenger. You know. So like a field artillery would have different set of standards for the same events than say paralegals.
Wow.
Phillip, let me just retract for 1 second.
Okay.
Do you not watch the movies? Every messenger gets their head cut off. They get kicked in the pit. Why would we not fight you? That is the message that we are returning, is to kill the messenger.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, he never saw 300.
Exactly. And that messenger never made it back.
Never made it back.
I'll remember that next time if I come on. Next time I'll remember that. Just don't give any message.
All right. Forget the PT test. Give us a pull the pin so we can send you on out and you can go be your own messenger.
Pull the pin. See, I wish I had been prepared for this. I didn't know I was going to be a part of the pull the pin.
You have to have something that you just irritates.
I have a lot of things, but like I said, I can't get.
Yeah, gotcha.
Could be an annoying relative. It could be anything.
Keep it military safe. You were there.
Keep it military.
I thought you were going to pull the pin on the new PT test. That's what I thought.
Okay, I could say this. I would say the one thing that really, really ticks me off, and I actually said something in a Facebook group, but only because it was private, you know. It really ticks me off when veterans claim a political affiliation for all other veterans. So when that ticks me off 100%, because just like we started with this topic, you know, it's like, you know, we all are individuals when it comes down to it. We are all individuals. So you have your Republicans, your Democrats, you know, you got maybe one or two independents, and then, you know.
And those are usually the ones that complain when they're sexually harassed, right?
But it really, I mean, and you know, one of my, you know, former Army friends posted, you know, veterans for, you know, this candidate, right? And of course, I put the little angry face on it, and then I just easily, I just found the meme, veterans for this candidate. I'm like, what are you doing? As if that means something. It doesn't mean anything, you know. You can find veterans for dogs. I mean, you can find any. I mean, it just irks me that they really believe. Oh, well, most military members are going to vote for this person. Or most are going to vote, and it just sounds so ignorant to me that it really bothers me. You know, so I wish veterans would just shut the hell up about their political affiliations.
Oh, show's over. Cancel.
when they believe that it's shared by the majority of military or the majority of veterans.
Good thing we have a disclaimer.
I'm not saying don't speak on it. I'm just saying you don't speak for the majority.
We have a disclaimer in this show. Good thing. Otherwise,
yeah, right? We don't claim to speak.
I'm glad you have that disclaimer too.
I think we just been canceled.
Some things, and I'm just like,
I think we were just canceled.
Not me. You
know?
Well,
I think that was our first episode, wasn't it, Jim?
Maybe second.
The second?
Yeah.
I think it was the first.
I think we were talking about veterans, speaking for veterans, and then cancel culture was second. Yeah, that was our first. And even though we do like to generalize and stereotype and things on here, we both recognize that because you got conflicting views right here, all in this room, and we're all veterans. So we know it's not true to ever 100% anything. But Phillip, we do appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks a lot, man.
And don't get to hear your pool of pins.
Watch the episodes and subscribe. Hit the bell to get notifications so you don't miss any. And you will see a whole bunch of pull the pins.
Or if you come back on a regular episode now,
yes,
you know, then that's
I would love to.
But this one, Phillip, is for you.
That's it. It's all about you.
And it is all the time we have, so we are going to close this up.
Because if when you come back for a normal episode, then everybody gets.
Does he cut you off like this?
Yeah, he does. And he could have easily told you that after we were done. But no, he wants to drag the show out for a little bit longer.
I'm sorry, Jim.
We still appreciate you, Phillip. We appreciate you showing up. And that is all the time we have for this episode. Thanks for joining us. We hope you catch us next time. Like, share, subscribe, do all that crazy stuff. And until next time, Godspeed.
Hey, and pull the pin.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us here. Pull the pin already. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If you like what we do, go ahead and hit that like button and share this video with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. But most importantly, leave a comment below. Let us know if you agree or disagree with our opinions. Hope to see you here next time on Pull the Pin Already.